guys. Starting to get it? Now, who was the insurance conduit for this? AIG. AIG's like, we can't pay all this, all going, we're losing money. We already made ours. We didn't. And that's why they don't like you calling it insurance, because it wasn't really insurance. Insurance has reserves, and you got laws, and you got all kinds of money you're supposed to have there to pay it off and all that stuff. So it's not insurance. It's a derivative derived from an index of blah, 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 blah. So when they triggered it and they couldn't make the payments, what did they do? Well, it triggers this bill that they owe Goldman Sachs. AIG doesn't have the money. So what did Goldman Sachs do? They go to the United States government and all their friends in government and said, you got to bail out AIG or the world's going to come to an end. We won't get our money. So they go to the government, they bail out AIG, and the government said, here AIG, and AIG goes, oh, thanks. And they went like that to Goldman Sachs. Starting to get it?
Where's the government guy like?
Yeah, whatever. It's, like you're still voting. So what happens is that you have all this money going up, but this is the kicker. This is what I couldn't understand. This is the part. Why are they going offshore? Why are they going through these investment conduits and all that? Whoa, what's going on? In the late 80s, well, I have something to do with it, but they do all this insulating stuff, right? In the late 80s, in the Tax Reform Act back then, and the kind of SNL thing you're playing with and so on, what they did for Goldman Sachs to be able to take 60% up front, they had to have a high enough revenue stream for them to get their 6%. Which also has something to do with why they made CDs really low and Treasury bills low and everything, so that 6% seems a lot better than 3%. Okay, that's a whole other thing. But what they did is to get that 60% up front and still have only 40% produce a revenue stream of 6%. What they had to do was eliminate any tax liability, because taxes on real estate revenue stream, there's taxes involved in this revenue of money going back and forth. In this bill that they did in the late 80s, if you go through a real estate investment, mortgage conduit, blah, 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 offshore, kind of fill in this special secret paper and line here thing, then you don't have to pay taxes. So instead of only being able to take 30 or 40%, they could take 60% up top and still give them the revenue stream for 6%. Starting to see what I mean? So they need to eliminate the taxes. But to do that, they had to create some kind of a semi-legal whatever it was, if you don't really own it, and they have, it's kind of, and that's when they did the separation that John's talking about, of the deed of trust, the actual, like title to the house or car or whatever it is. They had that, and then the obligation to note. They separated them. When they did that, in a lot of states like Arizona, if you separate that, if you discharge the note, which they were shredding them, because they didn't want to have any evidence of ownership. That's why they eliminated this part of it, because then they would have had to pay taxes and back taxes and all this other stuff. They go, what property? We don't know what you're talking about. It's all been securitized in a mortgage-backed blah, blah, blah thing. Okay? And then, when they did that, and they separated this, that means there's nobody that has standing to foreclose. The note is done. In Arizona law, once you shred that or destroy that, the obligation is done. That's why you have a mortgage burning party. Okay? Yeah, my mortgage is burning. Well, they burn it for you. So the thing is, and it's to avoid the taxes at this level so they can get a higher percentage to the pension fund so that they can take more money up front and say thank you for playing. That's how your money became their money. And what happened is, when these guys go, hey, this is going bad, the revenue stream's not going, we need to have, it's a mortgage-backed security, right? Are we going to go back in it, into secure, let's go foreclose? Who gets foreclosed, can foreclose on the property here? Nobody. Nobody even knows who owns it. Nobody even knows it got transferred as a number, an account on a spreadsheet somewhere. And it kept getting traded a gazillion times a day in groups of blah, blah, blah. It was all just funny money. So now they're trying to foreclose. How are they able to do it? Fannie and Freddie Fannie Mae comes in. Now all your mortgages belong to Obama. He's your landlord, by the way. I just want you to know that. Oh, God. So here's Fannie Mae. They go, for us to be able to foreclose on all these toxic assets. Why did they call them toxic assets? Because they were toxic. They didn't have anything behind them. They weren't worth anything. So the banks take these, and they need to get rid of them. Oh my goodness, the financial system's going to go down. here comes the government. Fannie says, give them here, we got them, it's ours now. And we'll give you a whole bunch of money, pay you 100% on it, whatever, there, you're fine. Fannie now has these, all these mortgages, these pieces of paper or whatever. But to foreclose, how do they do that? They have to have some kind of a deed or reconstitute these papers in order to go to the court and say, yeah, we're the guy that needs to do this and whatever. So how are they doing that? Fannie is contracting all over the country, especially in Florida and Arizona and California and so on, with big law firms that all they are doing is recreating the documents fraudulently. Did I say that right? Fraudulently, okay? What they do is they do an affidavit of a lost title or deed or whatever the heck it is. So you can do, yeah, we lost one or something, but you didn't lose hundreds of thousands, okay? So what they do is they have this mill, this foreclosure mill. They just start foreclosing on everybody and filing fraudulent documents. Just last week, here in Arizona, one of these $800 an hour attorneys goes up and says, you know, here's our file, blah, 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 this person's challenging it, we don't recognize, we want, and so on. And finally, they lose. The judge says, no, I find, you know, blah, blah against you. Well, we want our file back. He goes, no, 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 no. Because what you did is you created, by accident, I'm sure, 2 deeds to the house. They just made them, they go, oh, damn, we messed up and made 2 different ones.
Ernie, it was a total of 4.
What?
It was a total of 4 notes.
Okay, whatever. They got more than one, all right? So more than one of these notes, and the judge goes, you know what, Mr. Attorney Man? I think you need to get an attorney because you just did fraud on the court and your ass is going to jail, okay? So, man, they're like, whoa, now this is going on all over the country. All over the country. And the jig is up, and the judges start going, you know, hey, man, we'll be part of this thing. They probably don't care. They just sign it, give a crap. But then it gets to the point to where it's obvious, then they're part of the fraud. So they go, nope, nope, nope. We're not going to allow you just to create the documents out of thin air that you destroyed before to avoid the taxes. That's what was going on. So now what do you hear in the news? Oh, yeah, well, there's some people, well, there's too many, and they didn't cross the I's and dot the T's, and we're going to take 60 days to kind of fix it and understand, and we didn't know, we're going to, yeah, bullshit. Okay? What's going on is the entire system is being uncovered of the fraud from the beginning. From the beginning, the fraud. All of these mortgages that people are sitting in, you stop making your payments, you go, foreclose with what? And that's what they don't want people to know. And what's happening is I've been searching on freedom of speech, you know, now that I understood what words to look for, what information, what question to ask. A lot of times it's, what question do you ask? Once you find out the right question, oh man, the tidal wave comes. Oh, I want this guy to come on my show. I want this book to be read. I want this. We'll bring it on, bring it on. We're all going to understand. Will we understand by this election season? Probably not. But that's what's always their goal. To extend the BS one more election cycle. What will happen between now and 2012? I have no idea. I'm shocked they got this far. Okay? So what's happened is, now they're going to try and band-aid this over and get you to early vote and everything even before all this comes crashing down. What's going to come crashing down? The fact that everybody already owns their home and they're done. They don't want you to know this. They don't want you to understand it. They don't want you to, sure as heck, you know, fight it. They don't want you to sue them. They don't want you to get it out. They don't want, that's what's going on. So regardless of whatever you hear in the news, it's all bullshit. Okay? What they're trying to hide is the fact that the obligation for you to pay anybody for your home has already been ripped up years ago. So that they could do this. You got a beat on it? Oh yeah, who made all the money? Goldman sucks, man. Who's in all of the positions in government? Goldman sucks. So this is, I'm like, oh, I see where this is going. Still voting? Well, some of you are. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and start off with Michael Kilsky to be a county attorney to put some of these guys in jail, you know.